welcome to a Gooner Ramble podcast special. Special in several ways, the first being that I'm simply here to introduce it. You'll be listening to more familiar voices soon once I drop off. Another reason it's special is it's not even intended to be a podcast originally. It was what happens sometimes when we're recording podcasts, as if people don't have places to be or things to do afterwards. We'll just continue talking. And what happened is a spontaneous conversation came up about the players. We were doing some detailed player analysis, a lot of talk about what the squad might need, and basically decided, hey, why not release it as a podcast special? It was also before the end of the season. This was, I believe, just after the Hull game, early in May. So we had not won the FA Cup yet, so all the analysis and all the discussions, while still applicable today, were not necessarily expressed in the glow of a FA Cup win. But before I introduce it, let me also say that we do plan on releasing additional content during the off-season here. Some podcasts based on what happens in the transfer window, what may happen with some of the international competitions going on. We also may start experimenting with some video interviews as well. Things that are just longer and more in depth than what you tend to see on a lot of YouTube channels. But to make sure you see all that, you can subscribe to one of our many media options. We are on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we are on SoundCloud, we're on YouTube, we have an iTunes podcast feed, we have a RSS feed if you're on Android as well. You can pick any of these things if you go to thegoonerramble.com, or you can simply go to those different locations and look us up, the Gooner Ramble. So anyway, without further ado, this is just after the Hull podcast was ended and the boys just kept talking. So here we go. Enjoy.
I was going to go into that whole spine of the team and who do we want thing, but I just thought, fuck it, because we can easily do it next week.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think we should, because Swansea, I'm not sure it's going to be that. We should definitely save it for next week, because I think there's a lot to say there. There really is a lot to say, it's almost a podcast.
When does Giles get back from holiday?
I don't know. He might be back by then.
Oh, yeah, because I'm assuming he'll probably want to do a couple, when he gets back.
I don't know. But the thing is, sometimes games throw up questions about who we're going to buy and sell, don't they? And Jack, coming back really sharp, threw up one question, so we could have talked about it today. But I think Swansea's another opportunity to see what it throws up and whether that changes our minds about who we need to buy or don't need to buy. So
another thing you got to factor in is that at the end of the season as well is where who goes down, and then you got to look at the managers as well. You got to look at what managers are going to what place, because that always throws some stuff up for me.
Yeah,
I think what's going to be really significant really is how Wenger creates pathways to playing for some of our players that haven't played. And so those players we spoke about, they really have to go. Because when he gets these young players, they choose Arsenal ahead of other clubs. It's because he makes promises to them. He says, I will get you to play. Unlike our brothers in South West London, they make promises to these young players. They hoard them into their youth teams. They play them at their own age group, and they win all the tournaments. They don't get to play in the first team. Our manager says, you know what, I'm going to play you, young man. I'm going to play you, Danny Welbeck. I'm going to play you in the team. I'm going to play you, Jack Wilshere. Jack Wilshere, he had training with the first team at 15. Everyone thinks that Owen Cole made Jack Wilshere. No, he didn't. Wenger made him, right? And they built him up from that age.
Owen Coyle?
Well, he went to Bolton for 6 months, right, under Owen Coyle. And he's come back and gets into our first team. Everyone thinks, oh, well, that loan period sorted him out.
No, who are these knee-jerkers you keep talking to? Honestly, they can fuck off.
I'm thinking, well, I know for a fact he was training with the first team at 15, along with Frinkley. They're well ahead of their age groups. Well, that's massive when you're training with the first team at 15.
Well, we've got this Daniel Crowley, who I keep watching every week, and is it, I don't want to pronounce his name wrong, is it Iwobi or Iwobi?
Yeah, he's not.
He keeps scoring for the reserves every week. I'm like, But that's the thing that Neville and that was saying yesterday, is that he even said, didn't he? When Chelsea have got these players that have won 4 youth cups out of 6.
Not playing.
He went, he's got to start playing them because he went, Arsenal play them. He said Arsenal will bring them through.
Yeah,
he
but
said Arsenal do actually give them a chance. So.
They won't do that. And while our players are, making mistakes in Premiership games, players like, I know we only bought him, but players.
Well, I think this season getting kicked out the first stage of the League Cup obviously hindered some of these younger ones coming through. But next season, I reckon, if we don't lose the first leg, the people like Hayden, was it, that played against Southampton? There was loads of them out against Southampton, weren't there?
I'd love to see Zelalem. He gets my juices going, that guy. I mean, you can just imagine, in a few years' time, him threading those balls through like Cazorla. I mean, that's somebody, I just can't wait for him to blossom. If he blossoms, of course, you never know.
Yeah.
So many of them over the years have threatened to be world beaters, J. Emmanuel Thomas and all the rest. But
well, look at Afobe. Out of all the divisions, he's the top scorer out of them all, isn't he, in England? He's absolutely run riot, and, he's getting linked with loads of Premier League moves. And
maybe we let him go.
I think the one to watch next year is Hayden, actually. It'd be interesting to see what happens with him, because he's been...
I hope so. He used to live near me.
He's injured a lot, so whether they need to get minutes in him...
It's called the Champs of Colossus.
He's one to watch, for sure.
Chelmsford Colossus, do me a favour.
He was called the Chelmsford Sol Campbell as well.
Okay.
I think his dad's a taxi driver. I can't remember.
What interests me, though, going back to the squad, is that if we do want to challenge City and Chelsea, we'll have to be a bit like City in that we'll have to have 2 top players in every position, which is something we haven't really had for years under Wenger. And if that happens, someone is going to get upset. And that's not like Wenger. He tries to give everybody games. And we were talking about, what a great bench we had the other day. We had Jack and we had Theo and all the rest of it. But if players like Jack and Theo are on the bench, and then we buy another, let's say Royce or whatever, and then Ramsey's on the bench as well, one or two of those players are going to get seriously fucked off. So I'm not sure how we can actually have 2 top players, because traditionally under Wenger you have a top player and then you have a squad player who's either young and learning his position, or he's 33 and therefore he doesn't mind being a bit part player. But if you have 2 people in the prime of their career who are both good enough to play for any top 4 club, one of them's going to get pissed off.
Someone's going to go. Someone's going to go, right? So, we said it the first time we sort of spoke. Someone we love is going to go, right? It's going to be. So, James, we actually did coaches. We got 85 people in the squad, but it ain't going to happen, right? Someone we love is going to go. It's going to be.
But my point is, Clive, if somebody we love goes, they'll only be replaced. No, but they'll only be replaced by an even better player. So then, who are they going to fight it out with? And we've already seen Podolski got fucked off with being on the bench, and he's not even as good as the player we'll probably buy. So. Do you know what I mean? Somehow, this is what I don't understand, I don't know whether it's just purely money and paying people £250,000 a week, but somehow Man City managed to have players of the class of Dzeko and all the rest of it sitting on the bench, and they don't want to leave. They just stay on the bench and get the odd game.
Our squad, now it's fit, it's probably bigger than Chelsea's, Man City's, maybe not Man United's. In pure numbers, our squad is bigger than theirs. And with our age profile is much younger than Man City's as well. So, we've got, our problem is we've got players just about to blossom, potentially not playing. So those older players have to go, and one of the younger ones is going to go. It's going to be, I say younger, I think it's going to be Theo, but it might not be. But someone's going to go.
If I had to pick the 2, I think it'd be Cazorla and Theo. And it pains me to say it, but I think it'd be Cazorla, Theo, Podolski, Campbell, Flamini, probably Rosicky and Szczesny. I think they'll be the main ones.
But the other question is, if Cazorla goes, do you buy a replacement or do you just say no? Ramsey goes in there, or Jack goes in there, and then Oxlade Chamberlain goes out on the wing where Ramsey was, or Theo goes out on the wing.
It's do you buy another one of the
I think we have to buy another one.
Yes, so do I.
I think if we're really serious,
Get Douglas
we
Costa.
can't worry about people's feelings, right? When we were watching
But
that
Wenger
Chelsea
does.
game,
That's the thing. I don't, but Wenger
you're
does.
absolutely right. When we were watching that Chelsea game, right, that is the test. We're watching that game and we were looking at it and we're thinking, we need something else. We need something else, right? They've got us boxed up. We need one more. And it's those games I always look at. I always make sure I go to the biggest ones, like the Bayern Munichs, and because you can see your team really clearly. Then you can see what we have and what we haven't got. And I just thought, okay, that Chelsea game was a bit of an eye-opener. We did nothing wrong, but if we are going to be serious to make them really fear us, we need one more special one in that group.
The thing is, you're right in what you're saying about using the big games as a test, but then are we guilty of doing what Wenger always complains about, and that is saying, oh, we lost this game, okay, we didn't lose that game, but let's say we lost this game, therefore we need to buy X, as if, losing 3 points means, go out and buy a player. And it's too simplistic to say, oh, we didn't win this game, therefore we need X. Whereas really, there's loads of reasons why you don't win a game, and the performance on the day, and the in players you have injured, and all the rest of it. And in fact, it might be a more holistic view to say, well, we just didn't. We played the way that Chelsea wanted us to play, and next time we'll be tactically more astute.
Do you know what annoys me? It's the fact that I see it all the time on Twitter. People go, yeah, but who is available? I'm like, anyone. If the money's right, you can buy anybody.
Yeah, but my point is,
like, don't be. Yeah, but we shouldn't be afraid now. I know, Clive, you said it. We shouldn't be afraid to go. No, you know what? We got the money. Let's compete.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But my point is, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with Clive. I'm saying, if I play devil's advocate, I'd say, if we look at just one game and say, well, okay, we didn't win it, does that necessarily mean we need to buy X player to unlock Chelsea? You don't buy a player to win a game, because we could draw against Chelsea and still win the title. We said that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use Chelsea as like a gauge, and because they've been the best. They're the best team that we played, right? So, best defensive team that we played. And I thought their threat on the attack was there. And we weren't far off. We competed them really easily, actually. I thought we should have a lot of control. And there's no drama here. But, if there's a chance to get a Marco Reus for 35 million quid, the same price as Sanchez, then you're saying to yourself, you know what? We have got a group of players that could actually bring a new style of almost like having 6 midfielders up the top end of the pitch that all rotate and move and all move the ball beautifully. I mean, we can develop something new, and I'm really interested by that player. I watched a few of the German games recently.
Yeah. I can see Royce happening as well, because he's
almost like a false number 9. He's like, his career hasn't started yet. He could be something very, very special.
He said his hero's Thomas Rosicky as well. So
I like him already.
If you can use Rosicky as bait to try and get him in, even though Rosicky's going to go possibly.
Giroud's 29, right? And I think he's fantastic for us. But
what do you think of the Benteke rumour, Clive? Would you have Benteke?
Because I don't see it as a rumour. I've not seen it, and I don't see it as a rumour. I think the interesting rumour is.
Would you have him though?
Well, you know what, I would have done, and I really like him. But I think it's a little bit one-dimensional. If you watch him really, really closely, he's one-dimensional. He can't.
See, I've rated him since he first come in, and I think he'd suit us to a T. I really do. I think he's the kind of player that. I know I don't like using the word selfish, because I feel it's a bit no, but do you know what I mean? He's got the confidence in himself where he's like, no, I'm taking this for me.
I think the player, it's only a rumour, but it sort of fits. Is the kid at Barcelona? It's a Munir Daddy. His name is.
I know Munir.
Tall, speedy, left-footed, wide player forward. And if you're looking at Giroud at 29. And Wenger wants to get that kid out of there. And you think, you know what? He's thinking, I can have him as a backup to Giroud, and he could be my centre forward. Or you go for Royce. And I think whatever he does this summer is going to really tell us a lot about what his transfer policy really, really is. Because we've had 2 big ones on the trot. Are we going to get a third one? You know, and
But is the big one going to be the goalkeeper though? Because people think that, a lot of people I speak to think that the big one will be Sheck or Casillas.
when I say big, I mean 30 million plus, right?
Yeah, but exactly, because he's talking big in terms of price tag. But if we buy a goalkeeper, I can't believe we wouldn't have enough money left for someone else as well.
Yeah. Check is 10 million, and we're talking 30 million plus for a forward-stroke midfielder that can just got a bit of extra class about.
Well, hearing Neville talk about Bale could be a possibility. I'm like, if Bale's on the cards, I'm like, do like you did with Ozil, do like you did with Sanchez, and go.
I think Chelsea. I think Chelsea are all over him. I really.
Do you? See, I think he might go United.
No, I think Chelsea.
Because I think Di Maria's going to go, especially after he's been mugged.
I'm really worried if Chelsea get Bale. I have to say,
so am I.
But you say Di Maria's going to go, but wouldn't that be a huge cock up for any club to spend, 70 million on a player and let him go after one season?
Yeah.
I don't believe Van Gaal would give up that easily. Surely he'd try to play him a different way, he'd try to coach him differently.
I understand where you're coming from, but I think it's more of the player because, he's like I said, he's had he's been burgled, and what was it? His family was held at knife point and everything. I think he's just gonna be like, Joe, what fuck?
He's a shell. He's a shell. He wants to go.
He's got a bit of the runs about him, isn't he?
Paris Saint-Germain won off 40+ million for him.
Yeah.
Man United can afford 20 million just like that.
Yeah.
Just sell a few more shirts. So that's no problem for them. I think he's going to go probably. Man United have got problems. City have got problems. We are sitting there really now as the second best team in the country for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah, but that's the thing that I want like rectified, is that like you said in the pod earlier, there is something brewing there.
There is.
Even the harsh Wenger outs are going, no, there is something brewing. But we've got to be brave enough to take it over the line, and that comes from top to bottom.
Well, people...
I think the dick laws and all that need to be ruthless.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We got some selling to do. We could sell up to about 6 or 7.
Yeah,
and we've got.
But that only helps with the net spend anyway. We can recoup.
We've got.
We can recoup back what we spend if you think about it.
Well,
because for me, Szczesny's going to go for what, 6 to 10. Podolski 6 to 10. Walcott, you looking at 20 to 25. Cazorla, you looking at 20 to 25.
Nah, not that much. Cazorla will go for about 10. He's 30.
You think so?
He's 30 years old, yeah.
I know he's 30.
They're selling him back to
Spain.
They haven't got the TV contracts like we have, right? Only France have, or just 2 Spanish teams.
Well, the rumour of Coque going to Chelsea from Atletico, they're going to look for a midfielder, aren't they? And he fits the bill.
He fits the bill, and I think I'm hoping he stays one more year, because
I'd love to speak to Robbie because he met him today. I'd like to know what he asked him.
Yeah. Someone's going to go, and we need to sell him. Campbell maybe should have gone last year in hindsight.
Yeah, he's gone.
But there's 6 or 7 in that maybe.
Miyachi's probably going to go after pre-season because we've got a tour of Asia, and I reckon we'll keep him for that. Sell the shirt.
Interesting if Sonogo is sold back to France, who goes on loan again. Podolski will go. Arteta stay. We
don't need to go round. With a jumble sale raising money, though, do we? I mean, we might sell all these players. We don't actually have to sell them.
We don't have to sell any of them. But again, it's back to Wenger. Pathways to playing. We got to create room now for a 21-year-old Oxlade-Chamberlain. He should have a number 7 on his back. So, and that's what he should have. So. These guys have to play. They're ready to play now. They have to play more regularly.
If everyone's fit, that right mid position is got to be Oxlade-Chamberlain's. It can't be. I love him so much. I think he's so good. And I'm a massive Gnabry fan as well. I really rate Gnabry.
So he's another one, So and he promises guys time. And that's why they choose us over other teams, And he never backs down his promise. He does not care about himself, how many trophies he misses out on. He's all about pathway to playing. He creates that, and he gives them opportunity. It's up to them to take it. Chambers. I guarantee you, Chambers will be in the gym all the time, and he'll come out like a centre half in August, and we've forgotten about him. Everyone's saying we need a centre half. No, we don't. Only if Mertesacker goes, do we need a centre half.
Yeah.
If Mertesacker decides to go, then we have to replace him. But otherwise, we don't need one. We've got 4 great ones.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we need a centre back. I just think, not that anyone's ever asked me my opinion, but but I do think that we just need another Coquelin, a clone of Coquelin, because he can't play every game.
Bit taller.
Yeah, but a few inches taller would be great. Yeah, just another version of Coquelin who would have to fight his way into the team, because Coquelin doesn't deserve to be dropped. So he's going to have a battle on his hands. And then a top world-class striker to fight Giroud for his spot, and that's basically it. If Cazorla leaves, then like you said, you want to buy another one. We could get a Royce or whatever, but you could just as easily put Ramsey and Wilshere rotating next to Coquelin, and then put Oxlade-Chamberlain and Theo on the right. So you actually don't even need necessarily to replace Cazorla, although it would be nice to have a Sanchez on both sides, wouldn't it, to devastate people, and
For me, it's Royce, because Sanchez won't start the season, and we've got to think about how we start the season.
Is Royce left-footed, Clive?
No, he plays left, right, or in the middle. He's perfect, right? He is definitely perfect.
Because I still think we need a left-footer, though.
Yeah,
I'd like one to cut inside.
That's my choice, but these special players, there's just not that many anymore. No. When they come available, I just think you just got to go all out to get them. So.
If we were giving Cazorla to Atletico, I would say, look, chuck us that Griezmann as well, and we'll give you some.
Well, that's one of the things. I'm glad you brought that. That's one of the things I was thinking, is that if we're selling a player to Atletico, it'd be mad not to do some kind of player swap deal, because they got great players there.
Yeah.
We can nick.
Yeah.
I'll take that Griezmann, because he's got a bit of the Overmarses about him, with his pace.
We said in the Reading podcast that we could do with a proper winger.
Yeah.
Is that what he is?
Not really.
Yeah,
he plays wide, he plays down the middle,
Yeah, he's been played as a centre forward some games, hasn't he? But he's very.
This is why if we'd done the pod, we'd be arguing with ourselves, let alone what the comments will say.
Yeah. Well, this is the good chat. We might release this as a bonus pod.
Well, if Arsene needs a shopping list, I can jot a few down and give him it. I think everybody can.
Jasper's right. You look at it like a profile of player. And you squad, and we all, none of us want to see Coquelin go down in injury right now. So that means we need someone else like him straight away, right? Because we haven't got no one else like him. And I would like to see another forward that can play on the right. So yeah, just another forward, a goal scoring forward, really. Just so that if Giroud is not quite there, we can go with a different option. So yeah, and that's it. And then the goalkeeper,
would Gabriel be out as well as Sanchez then? Because is it Copa America? Is it?
Yeah, it's Copa America. But I've just seen the Brazil squad today. I don't think Gabriel's in it. I glanced
because he was on the bench for the Chile game, wasn't he? He was finally getting picked.
I went to that game, and and he was on the bench. But
see, because that could be another reason why we might have to get another centre half.
Yeah, but he won't play. He'll just go for the ride.
How long are they out for?
Yeah. It depends how long they take in the group, doesn't it? They could get knocked out straight away, possibly.
I think it goes almost to the start of July or something stupid like that. I mean, it really is a long tournament. And it's in Chile, so Sanchez will be playing every minute of every game.
Every game.
Yeah.
So
July.
Yeah. And the league season starts really early this year. So he's definitely going to miss the start of the season. So, a player like a Royce, he covers a lot of boxes. He really does.
The only thing that scares me is that if we don't buy Royce and we don't buy another world-class striker, it might be because Wenger thinks that Welbeck can challenge Giroud for his place up front. Yeah. And that would scare the shit out of me. Well, it won't scare me. It actually make me cry. So I just think, please have some ambition. I didn't want Welbeck at the club, and I don't really want him now. All he's doing is probably holding back Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah, I think it's a Theo or Welbeck thing, isn't it? Really. And,
See, I like him, but I don't really believe he's good enough.
I think it's probably this year is probably the first year he's had a regular season of playing, and he's got a knee injury, and I think we will see more of him next year. Yeah. He's never had a run of games from them before. Never been reliable.
We were talking about passengers. Do you not think he's a bit of a passenger? You know,
I think his end product makes us see him.
I'd love to have my dad on here with us, Jasper. He'd be loving you right now.
I think his end product. His end product is great. I'll tell you what. I want you to. If you look at some of the way he takes chances, right? I'm going to say something now. You watch him. When he goes up to shoot, his last stride is always too big. So what he does, he always falls over his shooting. Right? Yeah. I've told you that. Look at all the chances he misses. Watch him. He always gets his composure on his last stride. So when you watch Thierry Henry run up one-on-one, his last stride is what creates the angle for him to score. Yeah. If you watch Welbeck, his last stride actually narrows the angle and makes his variation of finish only be one finish. And he just needs to sharpen up on his composure in the box, and he would be viewed differently by many, many people. But one reason why I like him is that we don't lose nothing when he plays. He doesn't cost us anything. We don't come off saying, oh, well, where was Welbeck today?
No, I admire his work ethic. It's just
always there.
It's just I think he was brought in to be a finisher and get the goals. And you know, people were they were quoting Wenger and others saying, he could be like our Sturridge, and for me, he hasn't done it.
It's not. No, he's never had the finishing quality of Sturridge, and possibly never will. But I think I agree with you. He's not a passenger in the sense that he can drift out of a game like Podolski can and be absolutely anonymous. He doesn't do that. He's not a passenger in that sense. But if you boil it down to its basic elements, he's a striker who isn't good enough at finishing. So what's the point in having a striker that isn't going to get you goals? That's a different kind of passenger. Yeah, he tracks back. Yeah, he's got loads of pace. He's an athlete, blah, blah, blah. He adds something to the team and he drives defenders crazy. But if he can't finish and he wastes chances, then he can't be in a team that's going to challenge Chelsea. I just think, replace him with somebody who can finish. And it's interesting what you're saying about the left foot, because I had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with an ex-Chelsea striker who was in their reserves for a while, and he became a coach. And he always says that whether you're going to score or not actually depends on your weaker foot and how you plant it before you strike with your actual striking foot. And I was watching him, I was being coached by him last year, and he said he's watching these players take penalties against a goalkeeper, and as they ran up, he stood there and he just said miss, score, and he said it all before they'd actually hit the ball, because he just looked at how they planted their left foot, and if you plant your left foot wrong, you can't score.
No.
Absolutely spot on. That is exactly Welbeck's issue. He needs to. He's like like a bubble lads. His run up. Where he plants his foot. He gets his run up wrong. I know it sounds ridiculous. He gets his run up wrong, and that's why a lot of his goals are one touch finishes. Where he hasn't got to think. When he's got time to think, sometimes he gets it wrong. Quite a lot of the times, actually. Yeah. And because it's so noticeable, because he bursts past people a lot, and he does create one-on-ones. Yeah. And when we sort of bought him to create as that pacey centre forward option for,
I don't know if you did read it though. If you did read all of them, Jasper, you said that you thought we'd possibly get it in for saying that we would have had Remy over him.
Yeah.
We actually had a lot of people going, "No, them two are actually right."
I didn't read as far down as that, but
I was quite happy. I was just like, "Oh, great," because me and you were like, "Yeah, we're gonna get fucking tanked for this."
I think you're gonna get tanked for having Firmini as a manager. I'll tell you that for now.
Do you think so? I don't think. I think he's got manager written all over him.
He's lucky to have a contract, in my opinion.
But going back to Welbeck for a minute, what drives me mad about him, I've said this before, but he's got this amazing pace, but when he's actually running at full pelt, he can't control the ball. And I admit it's bloody difficult to do it, and Theo struggled with it for years before he dialed his pace down by 10% to try and get better control of the ball, or he just improved generally at high speed. But Welbeck, when he runs at high speed, he kicks the ball and then he runs after it. And when he kicks the ball away from himself, he kick it like 15 yards away, and someone just come in and take it easily. You know, so he can't keep the ball close to his body whilst he's running at full speed. He just can't. He can't do it. So often what happens is he starts running down the wing. He runs after the ball. By the time he actually catches up with it, he's now at a ridiculous angle, almost at the corner flag, which would be a brilliant place to cut it back. But instead he wants to shoot, so he tries to score from a ludicrous angle. And of course, the keeper, all he has to do is stand at his near post, because he's never going to score from that angle. And no one can. It's ridiculous. But he won't cut it back. He won't just put a blind cross into the box and hope someone gets to the end of it. He'll fucking shoot. And I just end up screaming at the telly when he does that, because he does it more often than you think he does. He do it every fucking game.
You don't like him, do you?
No, he does annoy me. He does annoy me. It's like, you know, when Theo first got to us from Southampton, he had this blistering pace, but he would tread on the ball, or it would come out the back of him somehow, and he'd run off and leave the ball behind. And it's that similar thing. You know, where he's got so much pace, but he actually can't control the ball when he's running at that pace. You know?
Yeah. I like him. I'd be interested to see how he develops. I'm not saying he's the answer, but I like him. When I think back to the players that he sort of replaced in the squads, like Podolski's and the Vellas and those types, those types that just can't move, just don't. Yeah. You can't take them to Stoke. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree with you. He's a better option than them. Yeah.
And we're not saying to him that Welbeck is going to be our number 9. In fact, but what we are saying is, I think he's almost been a sort of flag bearer for the change in our team this year. So, you know, many times we go away from home with a striker Giroud, with a Podolski left, Cazorla centre, Walcott right. Now, they're all lovely players on the ball in their day, those 4, but they're not really giving you a lot as a combination, as team play. You know, we'd have Arteta and Ramsey behind them. When you think back to compare that to what we have right now, it's just light years away. It's just moving the players around into their proper positions, having somebody at the base, having someone knitting it together, got some work rate, we've got energy. It's just lovely.
But that's the thing. I think all the best teams that we had, you could always go, okay, we can take this one out and put this one in. And I think that's what we're nearing, because, you know, if you look at like the Invincibles and both the double winning teams of the 98 and the 2000, you know, people like, alright, Wiltord and Carnu, they weren't quality people, but you knew, alright, you can bring them in, they'll get 1 or 2 goals, or, you know, this one can do this one. And, you know, you had like Gilberto or, you know, Lauren and people like that. That's, you know, so that's what I really like.
Welbeck is our Wiltord. He plays wide and he plays up front. None of us ever thought Wiltord was ever going to take Henry or Bergkamp out the team. But and he was our record signing, don't forget.
Yeah.
But when he came in, he didn't let no one down.
I didn't rate him, but he'll always go down because he's a legendary because he scored that goal at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
so
just like
he'll always go down as a hero.
Just like Danny Welbeck did.
Yeah. Exactly.
But the thing is about Welbeck is that I'm concerned about, and again, you know, I'd love to be proved wrong, is that, you know, you're saying, oh, I'd love to see how he develops, and Arsene Wenger is a magician at turning players into absolute stars. But what worries me is that if he spent all those years under Alex Ferguson, who's also very good at bringing through players, and yeah, okay, you can say he didn't play in his right position, blah, 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 but if he couldn't get a serious tune out of Welbeck, then why should we necessarily assume that Wenger can? Because, you know, Ferguson is...
If Ferguson was their manager, we would never have got him, I believe.
No, but that's a different subject. What I'm saying is, if Ferguson couldn't make Welbeck into a 20-goal-a-season striker, then why are we assuming that Wenger can just because he's done it with other players?
Yeah, no.
How do we know? My question is this, I suppose. Put it another way: how do we know that Welbeck hasn't actually plateaued and that's it? He's just not going to get any better because his technique, you know, his run-up's wrong, plants his foot wrong, and that's it. How do we not know that?
Well, I suppose, you know, we are talking about an England forward, first pick first 11 player. He's not exactly a dead body. You know, and,
no, I'm not saying he's shit, you know, but England team is not the Arsenal team.
It's not the Arsenal team. It's not in the standards of football. International football is not as high as what we watch in Europe, etc. So I get that, but I just think it's his first full season. He's been at Manchester United for many years. He has never been more than a bit part player, right? So we were the first team to rely on him 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the first time he's at that level of physical Premiership play. And I think he's done okay. He's probably about 4 or 5 goals short. But he's 23, by the way. Walcott's 26. He's 3 years younger than Walcott, and we're all giving Walcott loads of time. He's been here 10 years. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, Walcott's had great purple patches, by the way, so that's why we all think back to those moments.
I think so.
I think we can give him another go, but I think, you know, it'd be interesting to see what Wenger does with him. I think he's definitely for me, he's a wide player, occasional centre forward when we need it. I don't think he's a centre forward. I just don't think he is.
Yeah. And you made a good point about his purple patches with Theo as well, because while we were wondering whether Theo could cut it, he would then pop up, make that run like he did against Liverpool in the Champions League, where he ran the whole length of the fucking pitch and squared to Adebayor, and then you think, wow, this is what he can do, and so you give him slack for another couple of seasons. But I've never seen anything Welbeck's done and gone, wow, this is what he can do.
The worst thing for me with Walcott was when he got that hat-trick. When he got that hat-trick for England. It was sort of like a burden, because everyone went, now he's going to be the next Thierry Henry. He's going to finally do, and he never lived up to it. I'm sorry.
When Welbeck got the hat trick in the Champions League, I never thought, wow, he's arrived. He's going to be something sensational. You know, but with Theo, when he did those, when he scored the hat trick for England, when he made that run against Liverpool, and the other sort of bits and bobs he's done, you thought, well, that is what he's capable of, and if we can get that out of him on a regular basis,
you just know when he goes as well. That's when he's going to start getting 20-30. You just know it, don't you?
I don't see that well, but I can't see anything in him that makes me think he could be a fucking player. I don't get excited about him. I just get frustrated.
You know what? We don't get excited about James Milner. He's got 2 Premiership medals in his back pocket, right? And I think Welbeck's better than him, right? And the way we use him is exactly how Man City use James Milner. So I don't see
functional.
I just don't see a problem. I'd rather have him. I'd rather have him around.
You have hit that nail there, because you know he's a player that's going to work hard, and he might get you a goal or 2.
If he stops us buying somebody or stops us,
that's my problem.
And if he stops us, you know, if Oxlade-Chamberlain sitting on the bench and Welbeck's running down the wing, opening the gate and running out the exit, then we have to do this chat again.
Yeah.
Jasper will be spewing. but yeah, at the moment there's space for him, and really it's Walcott he's displaced. That's what's happened.
That's true. That is my problem, is that if we don't buy a Royce or a whatever player you want because we've got Welbeck, I think that's a mistake. I think if we're going to the next level and we're not carrying passengers, even though you can argue he's technically not a passenger because he works very hard, blah blah blah, then you want a star in every position, and he's not a star yet, and I don't think he will be. I just don't have that belief in him, like when I see other young players and I see a spark of what they can become. You know, I saw Sturridge when he was still playing for Chelsea, and you know, in 10 minutes he did more than Welbeck will ever do. His technique's better, his finishing better, and you could tell he was going to be something. But Welbeck, I look at him and I don't see any spark that makes me think, wow, if we have patience and give him a couple of seasons, he's going to be this, he's going to be that. I just don't see it. I think if we don't buy a Royce or whatever the fuck his name is, you know, because we got Welbeck, that's a crying of shame.
I just think in a squad, in a championship winning squad, you need different types, right? So, you know, you look at, say, I'm not saying he's that player, but come on, we watch Ramirez play for Chelsea. He trucks up and down, stepping on people's ankles. And you know what? He's just all energy. Can you ever remember a decent pass he's ever made? Can you remember, you know...
Look at John Obi Mikel. He's hardly world class.
But you know what? When Chelsea want to set up, or when they want to, you know, counter-attack teams, he's right there, on the shoulder, last minute. I just think you need different types. We've had so many years of the same types of players.
Yeah.
They've not. They've been rolled over. Teams will look at us and laugh and think, "Oh, right, crikey." This year we've turned it around when it comes to competing with the best teams, and I think we've actually made the step now from being that team that's fourth or fifth to a team that's third or second. Next year now, can we be first or second? And that's it. And players like Welbeck, that means we're not a soft touch anymore. We can go to places and say, yeah, we're here to play you. I mean, even last night, I thought it was fantastic the way Coquelin stamped on a guy's leg and the way Cashel kicked that geezer in the face who went through on him. That whatever his name was, the Myhill, whatever his name was. He's the one that went through on Koscielny on the goal, and Koscielny's come back and kicked him straight in his head. And I thought that was brilliant. I thought that's absolutely brilliant, and we can do that now. So it gives me a lot of hope. I tell you what annoys me. The Chelsea game doesn't annoy me because they're a good side, and you know what? They set up right. They can stop Barcelona. They can definitely stop us. So the games like Stoke away, where we just went there and just lost.
Yeah, Swansea away.
Just went there and just did not even play.
Oh, don't remind me of Stoke. God, I've forgotten about that.
Yeah, that's the one. And we
Awful.
go with the right mindset. We got to sort that out.
Do you know what though? I've discovered the answer. I've discovered it while you've been talking, right? What we do is, Welbeck, right, who's got all the running ability, athleticism and effort, we take him and we take Podolski, who doesn't move a fucking muscle but can finish better than anyone. Those two have a love child, and then we've got the perfect player to play on our wings, haven't we?
Yeah. He's just one of those players for me. He's just a plan B option. You know, when Fergie used to go to Hull and Stoke, he'd play all the English players. He says, yeah, because they know what it's like up there. He'd bring them all out, and they'd all come and play, and they'd all get away with a 1-0. We'd go out there, get done. And great, that's another 3 points they've gone ahead of us. Sometimes it's just good to have those players. You're always going to get a 7 out of 10 from. And Jasper, you're right. As long as he ain't stopping us going to the next level, he's fine. He's fine by me because he can play in 3 positions, and he's English, and he's 23.
Yeah, all those things he's got going for him. As long as he doesn't bench Oxlade-Chamberlain or
he won't.
Theo.
Yeah,
like I said, that right mid Oxlade.
It's a really interesting one. I think I'm generally not sure what's going to happen there. I just don't know. I've got generally not sure.
Can't tell, can you?
You can't tell. Him and Podolski are quite similar in how they play and what they offer. We're definitely not keeping 2 of them, that's for sure.
No.
And I think we might lose one of them.
He'll be Podolski. He'll definitely be Podolski because I can't imagine Danny Welbeck's on 100 grand, is he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. You got to remember, hasn't Wenger got in his contract that whatever money he saves, he gets bonus on as well, doesn't he? So if he can save the club 100 grand a week, I think he'd.
I don't know. I don't think, despite Wenger getting whether it's 5 million a year, I don't think he's a man that's motivated by money particularly. He doesn't go around fucking spending it, does he? He lives in Tottenham.
No.
He lives in bloody Tottenham in a modest house. So
he lives in Totteridge, actually. You know Totteridge? Yeah,
I know Totteridge. Yeah, my mum lives there, but I was always told he lives in Tottenham.
No, it's Totteridge. It's West. You know, is it Whetstone?
Whetstone, yeah. I know the area. That's where my mum lives.
You know that pub? Was it the Orange Tree? See that pub there on
Orange Tree?
The Orange Tree pub in sort of Totteridge. He lives. There's a side road off there, and he lives down there, and it's a very, very nice area in North London. He used to live in Hadley Wood, and he moved away from there, and then went to Totteridge.
My uncle was a taxi driver. He had to drive him home the other week, and he said that he was very shy. He was talking about how, he was like, "Oh, my nephew's a massive fan of yours," and but apparently he wouldn't sign anything.
I've had the pleasure once, and I've got loads of stories which I will share on the pod at one point. I went to Arsenal to watch them train for a day, and I went as a guest over at O2, and I watched them train in the morning, and then had lunch with all the players, and then met the manager and stuff. Right, so and I've seen the reverence by which he's held in that club and what they say about him. I'll tell you now, that man is going nowhere. He's like a god. He's God in that club. And I've got loads of stories, but it wasn't a time when Arshavin was there and Will and Fabregas and Van Persie sort of found me probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. So
I'd love to know if he does a book, but he's hardly someone. I don't think he'd badmouth. You know, look, people go, oh, he'd do a telltale book like Ferguson did it, and I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't. I've never known him scathe anybody.
No, that's true.
I can't imagine you'd read it and go, oh, I can't believe he said that about this person. Yeah. He's got that whole where he's like, nah, this person's lovely, he's great. I can't see him.
Too much of a gentleman, isn't he?
Yeah.
But Clive, I know what you mean about that.
I could be wrong
about that.
But I just don't.
Yeah.
That's it.
I was going to say, I know what you mean about that tour because my cousin got it somehow. I don't think it was through O2, but it was some kind of diamond tour you can do, which is only for diamond level members or something. And a friend of his had this membership, and he couldn't go for some reason. And so my cousin went, and he said they're literally standing on the side of the training pitch, like 10 yards from the players, as they're running about. You know, you're right up close to them, then you go into the canteen, and he was just blown away by it. He said Arshavin was sitting all by himself. He's a fucking weirdo, you know. But he was right in there.
I did it. It's actually, you feel very privileged, right? Because when you go to the ground, that's the end of their week. That's the show part, right? So when you watch them, we all go out the ground. When you go to the training ground, that's like their office. That's the place of work. So they're really, when you go there, you really sort of learn that it's a really close-knit family, right? So anyone from the outside is like, everyone knows who they are. And you're just like, right in the midst of it. And I got some stories out there that I've never ever shared before, because you wouldn't, because it's Arsenal, you'd never let that stuff come out, you know? And like, it was just, I'll tell you, I was so excited that when I drove out there, I had to pull over and calm myself down before I got in the motor.
Was he running the drills? Because I know a lot of people say that he actually dictates. Yeah, he dictates the drills.
All the drill.
Oh right.
And there's a guy called Chris that sort of is the sort of manager of the whole training ground. He sort of takes.
Yeah.
And,
see, I'd love to do it just to see one day.
It's really interesting because it was just before Fabregas left actually, and somebody in the club had actually died, and he was the only one not training, and as he was the captain, he was in like a black suit. But there was only 2 players. All the players were absolute gentlemen, and when I mean gentlemen, I cannot praise them highly enough. And tremendous to talk to. You could not get rid of them. They were just absolutely brilliant. There was just 2 players that stood out as being aloof and being there's something not quite right there. One of them was Fabregas. I put it down to the fact that he was representing the club at a funeral. And but you know, it turned out that about 2 weeks later he left. And the other one was Bentner, because the guy, I'll give you a little story about the guy Chris who takes you around. He takes you around everywhere, looks after you like you're one of his own children, and then gets you your lunch. And while he's talking to, like, there's only 6 of us, and he's really going through all the stories about who's the best player he's ever seen there, and going through all while he's going through all this, Bentner comes over and goes, "Oi, Chris, can you charge my phone for me?" I thought, you wanker. Do you know what I mean? You can see that he's talking away. He just belittled him in front of the 6 die-hard Arsenal fans. And he went,
but that's just what you get about football,
he went,
didn't you? Some of them,
but that's the bit everyone remembers. But I met 20 others that were absolutely role models. Do you know what I mean? And you get
more money than sense,
and you think, you're an idiot. You can just charge your phone yourself. Do you know what I mean?
It wasn't trying to wind him up or anything, was it?
Nah, he just come over.
No, I can believe that.
Just butted in and just went, "Yeah, mate, you just charge my phone for me." He's like holding court. You know, like someone you're holding court and someone just cuts you down to size.
Well, that's embarrassing, isn't it?
I mean, it reminds you of the pecking order sort of thing.